Hello and welcome to the round number 39 of the WBC Talks. This is the WBC Talks that we've been doing so you can stay at home, have fun, learn about boxing, and you can see Malta now. That's a big advantage. But first, let me introduce 𝗧𝗔𝗟𝗡𝗗 from the WBC University. She's the director and she has a great message for you.
Hi, Victor. Hi, everybody. I'm very glad to start this new week. It's Monday again. I can't believe it. And we're still in confinement. And what I usually do at the beginning of this panel is just to make a small reflection of how can we deal with confinement. And today I'm just going to ask yourself, and I woke up asking to myself, how do I feel this week? Is confinement reaching my limit? Am I getting tired of this COVID talking? What is going to happen, okay? If you feel this way, then it is very important that you carry out an evaluation of your mental state. It's nothing bad to talk about how do you feel in your mind. So I am going to give you a little context of well-being. Well-being is the awareness of the need to do the best for us in the different areas of performance of human beings, okay, for human well-being. And what does that mean? Well, it is a set of elements, physical, mental, emotional, and social, that a person needs to live well in daily basis during his or her life. We can find many formats of inventory to measure our well-being, but I will share with you one that is very easy to do, and we can do it every day, and we can adapt to it, okay? First, you need to make an inventory of the components of your feelings, okay? Do you feel tired today? Do you feel tired in a physical way or in a mental way? Okay, are you sleeping well? How's the quality of your sleep? What are the sensations of your muscles, of your physical health, okay? What is the level of your stress? Okay, how's your mood? How's your health? How's the level of your motivation? You can do an inventory of those things you want to measure. You are going to write down those things, and then you're going to point to do a scale from 1 to 10, and then you are going to put, okay, how am I sleeping? Maybe I wake up in the middle of the night, then I put 5, okay? It's like when you go to the doctor and they want to measure your pain. You have to tell them. If it's too much pain, then you tell them 10. If it's a little, then you tell them 3. Something like that, okay? So that way, you are going to be able to measure your state of mind, okay? And if you're getting a little bit down or up, it's very good. To start doing that exercise, you can do an exercise, what happened yesterday, what happened last week. And if you start today, then the recommendation is that you start doing it every day. Try to do it at the same time, at the beginning of the day, before you start your daily routines, or maybe before you go to bed, okay? Remember, you need to work your mind to increase your positive mental health, okay? With positive actions. That doesn't happen just because for free or just because you want that positive things happen in your life. You need to work for that, and you need to work from your mind, okay? Maybe you can learn from our daily mental health capsules that I share here every day, or if you think you need more, a more professional advice, you also can seek for professional help, okay? Try to do this every day and try to be monitoring how was yesterday, how are you today, how are you last week, okay? And the purpose of this type of exercise is to obtain in a fast track quality information that will help you to improve as a person and to develop your own tools. Okay, that is the relevant of right now in confinement. We have to develop our own tools to be in a good mental health, in a good physical health. Okay, so well, with this I finish, and I desire that you have a great panel today, a wonderful week, and keep motivating yourself, keep doing things that are good for you. And I'm very happy to being able to say hello to you all. Thank you very much. Adelante, Victor.
Thank you, 𝗧𝗔𝗟𝗞𝗦. Now, this is round number 39, as I said, and it's going to be about boxing as an entertainment. And Malte Mueller, that is the chairman for the women's boxing division in the WBC, is going to introduce the panel. Malte, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. And I wish I'm going to be the head of the WBC Entertainment Committee one day, once we form one.
You are. In the conventions, you are.
Thank you very much. No, I was actually asked if I would host this and put together a panel. So I put together a panel of some of the best and coolest people in boxing. And I'm very proud that you're all here. Thank you very much for coming. Mark is still fighting with his camera, but that's okay, Mark.
Yes, I will get it. My camera does not want to cooperate with me. I may have to hold it today. It's okay.
But I love your boxing corner.
That's why I'm here. We have a lot of some of the greatest, all the greatest fights I ever worked on.
Wow. Oh my God.
Look at this. The seats from the great arenas. Every single great fight that took place in the era I worked at HBO, the gloves from the fights.
Oh my God.
On and on and on. Yeah, we have it's a beautiful museum here.
That's great. We're going to come to that in a second, Mark. Let me first introduce, because you know the WBC is all about the fighters, and I'm so proud that we have a champion here, our former and possibly future world welterweight champion, Mr. Shawn Porter. Shawn, how are you?
What's up, everybody? I tell you what, I'm struggling over here, man. I'm doing my best to look like a champion right now. It's rough over here.
Hey, Shawn, I was gonna do the same thing with my hair, but
you got to stick with the comb over. That's all you got.
Same here.
Everyone's good. Everyone's healthy, and just training right now. So that's it. Waiting on them to tell us when we're gonna be back in the ring.
There you go. I was very happy that you're joining in. Thank you for being part of this, and
absolutely.
And we'll have some fun. So we're going to move over to Mark, who is holding his camera up, so you'll get a good exercise for his arm too today, which is good. Mm-hmm. So Mr. Mark Taffett has been. Oh, you can introduce yourself, but you showed us your little museum over there. It's been more than 20 years, I believe, that you were the head of boxing for HBO, right? And there you go, HBO boxing. I mean, I don't think you really need an introduction, but please show us a little bit around in that small room and tell us what you've done in the business.
I have been blessed to be a part of the greatest fights from 1991 through 2015 in the sport of boxing, and to have a central role in every one of those fights, to get to know the promoters, the heads of the venues, the fighters, the publicists, folks with the passion at the sanctioning bodies, the media. It was just an incredible pinch me experience. I've said many times, I never called it work, once each day. And you could see that we have fights here, De La Hoya Hopkins, De La Hoya Mayweather, Holyfield Lewis, Lennox Lewis and Mike Tyson, Manny Pacquiao, Miguel Cotto, the great Trinidad De La Hoya fight in 1999, the very first event done at Cowboy Stadium with Jerry Jones when Manny Pacquiao fought 𝗧𝗔𝗟𝗞𝗦, the very first event at the This was Oscar De La Hoya and Manny Pacquiao, where we did the press conference at the Statue of Liberty. And Miguel Cotto against Yuri Foreman, the rabbi, when Yankee Stadium was rebuilt, and it was Yankee Stadium's first fight back. These are the seats for Madison Square Garden from their arena. These are the seats from Shea Stadium and Yankee Stadium, where famous fights took place. Here's a wonderful poster. George Foreman at the age of 45, the oldest man to win the heavyweight title when he beat Michael Moorer. So many great memories, I have to say, that I have right here in this house. Pictures of George and Evander, Floyd Mayweather, Leroy Neiman, may he rest in peace, did a sketch for me one year for my birthday. A great photo shoot with the champ, Vladimir Klitschko, which we did in New York. Just so many great times, so many great memories. And it gives me a lifetime of chills and thrills still today. I have to say, I'm still a little kid in the candy store when I come down here.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you so much for taking the time and being with us, because especially on this topic, on the entertainment side of boxing, you're just a great asset to this round of panel. And we're going to come to you in a little bit. I want to introduce the other people on the panel. And there's a young man, friend of mine here from Hamburg, Germany, who will once have a museum just like you, Mark. He already started collecting some pictures. Benedict Pölchau, also known to some as Benny Blanco, international advisor of some fighters, working closely with promoter SES Boxing here in Germany. Great guy, young kid coming out of Germany, and one of the very few people in Germany who actually know about boxing. So I'm very happy that he's part of this panel. Benny, please introduce yourself. Say hi.
Hi, everybody. Nothing more to add. Malte, pleasure to be here. Hello, everyone. And yeah, just working out of Europe, managing, promoting, advising, everything you can do in boxing.
Thank you. And of course, part of the panel and part of every big boxing fight, of course, we need a referee. So we have here a legend in the ring, the third man in the ring, more than 300 fights. I don't know how many title fights, but you'll tell us, Frank. Mr. Frank Garza out of Detroit. How are you, Frank?
Wow.
You know, I just got to say hello to everybody. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here, especially to see so many of my friends here that are safe and doing well. And I want to say, you know, who knew that I would be here and be able to do all the things that I did? And it's only through the sport of boxing. You know, you take a little kid from the western part of Ohio, working the tomato fields, you know, before going to school, and working on a farm, and then one day end up in Kiev in a taxi cab with my friend Sean there, you know, and sharing a ride back to the airport, and finding out that our connection is the good state of Ohio.
Yeah.
And how many good people came from that place. Sean, good to see you, man.
Thank you.
And
very good to
my
see
friend
you.
Mark Taffett there, who I was looking forward to seeing in May before all this came down, and we had a big event that we wanted to put on, and I hope that we're still able to put it on, and I hope that it still comes to our great state. And sitting next to him is my friend Victor Silva, who geez, you know, how many times have we seen each other from Mexico City and all over the world, you know, and find out that we have a great love of baseball and other things like that. And reconnecting with Benedict today after drinking beer in Munich. It's a small world. It's a small world. And my friend Sochi, who I got to know the last couple of years in Mexico City and working together on the WBC University. So good to see you. And of course, my compadre in the WBC low blow band, Malte. Looking forward to performing with you again soon in the future. But boxing is a wonderful sport. I always called it the last frontier. It's where regular Joe Blows like me can have the opportunity to get involved into something that takes you on a worldwide stage. without having to have, I did go to Ohio State, but I didn't finish, without having a college degree, but just excelling when you're asked to do a job and doing the best that you can and end up seeing the world.
Thank you, Frank.
Malte, you forgot to say that Frank is the lead guitar of the WBC.
Of course, and also forgot to say that Sean Porter is not only a great fighter but also a great singer. But we're going to
yeah.
Not a singer. I'm not a singer. I'm not a singer.
No,
Sean.
Sean is the singer. You can play guitar and Sean can sing for us later on, but we're going to we're not going to do that. But Sean, let me ask you. Of course, in the first place, you're a professional fighter. You're a professional athlete. Do you also consider yourself an entertainer?
Absolutely.
So what does it mean to you?
You know, I just had this conversation with someone recently, and I told them fighters today don't consider themselves entertainers. They don't look at themselves like they're entertainers. However, just like every other sport, the NFL, the NBA, MLS, soccer, football, you go to those events to be entertained. You go to those events to cheer for and root for the team or the person that you want to see be successful that night. And just because boxing, we bleed, you see vicious knockouts, you see guys who get hurt and don't make it the course of the fight. I think because of those reasons, boxing doesn't have the same connotation as those other sports in terms of being an a piece of entertainment. But when I began to look at myself as an entertainer, I started to say, what can I do to be the best entertainer that night? So, and it's been a while now. I think you guys, if you take a look at my career over definitely the last 2 years since I fought Danny Garcia, I think you'll see a different Sean Porter in the ring in each fight. And I think that's because those fights, I called on myself to be just as much an entertainer as a fighter or a champion or someone, risking my life. And I think that having the approach of being an entertainer will bring back that spark and that fun life and personality that we had as amateurs when it wasn't about the money and it wasn't about how many people were seeing you, and it just really was about looking good and outclassing the guy that you're up against. And so I think that I definitely consider myself an entertainer, and I think more fighters out there should start considering themselves entertainers and understanding that what they're doing is bringing joy and the satisfaction to other people, and to look at what they do in a serious manner just as much as entertaining someone, just as much as it is them, actually just fighting hard to win.
Hey, do you have specific role models that inspired you when you were growing up?
Do you mean like in terms of being the entertainer in the sport of boxing, or just in the sport of boxing in general?
Well, both. I mean,
yeah. And you know what? I mean, honestly, to answer that question, I've been motivated and inspired by the who's of entertainment, to be honest with you. I mean, if we stick in boxing, we're talking Mike Tyson, we're talking Evander Holyfield, obviously Marvin Hagler, who's my all-time favorite fighter, Sugar Ray Leonard. No one was flashier or faster or anything than him in the ring until you look at Roy Jones Jr., who in my personal opinion is one of the most entertaining fighters to ever exist on this planet. Also other sports, Barry Sanders, if you guys know the sport of football, American football, he in my personal opinion was the best running back of all time. And it's because he would be on one side of the field and he'd run to the complete opposite side of the field, outrun everybody and still score a touchdown. We've never seen that since Barry Sanders. Even entertainment in movies, Will Smith, Martin Lawrence, And if you take a look at Martin Lawrence, he has a boxing background, you know. So again, if you're looking at ways to have fun in the sport of boxing, you take a look at someone like Martin Lawrence and the way he moves around and has fun with the bags, even though he's missing and things like that. Now you're able to go to the gym and just really just be relaxed and do what you do with the understanding that people other than us actually love that and enjoy it and can't wait to see it, you know. So I've been inspired by a lot of different forms and people around this planet, and I think they've really helped me become who I am now.
Martin.
Yeah.
First, I'm gonna have an argument. I'm gonna have a discussion with Shawn Porter because I'm older and I'm more a Walter Payton guy. Okay.
I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you.
Second, I would like to participate in this panel as a boxing commentator, not as a host. I'm gonna take advantage that you're hosting this show. And I've been commentating fights for a long time. That's how I met Mark also. And it's all about entertainment. It's not, I know there's people that love boxing and they're gonna be there watching the technique and all that stuff. But the main fights are built with people that wants to see story, drama, everything that builds. That's why the press conference are really important. Mark can tell you hundreds of anecdotes about that. The weigh-in, the face-off, that's really interesting. And the boxing entrance, it's really amazing. And as a commentator, that I'm the channel to bring that to the people. I want to show you some pictures here. That's really interesting. That this is something that you can tell the people that you want to show. Mark, please correct me if I'm wrong.
No,
Mark?
I'm not. Oh, no, I'm not correcting you. I'm just waiting till you're done so I can amplify with more examples exactly what you're saying.
Please go ahead.
Mark, tell us, Mark, from who are the most entertaining fighters, both inside and outside of the ring, that you work with?
Well, you know, one of the most challenging things, just to go back for a second, is it's easy for a fighter to say, I'm an entertainer. But there are different aspects of entertainment that fighters have to understand. The first part of entertainment is your performance in the ring. You're a performer, not just a fighter. You're a performer. And that means the way you carry yourself in the ring at its core, when you're fighting, when you're showing your craft. You need to do it and perform for the fans. You need to give them some entertainment. They have to see some attitude. They have to see some talk. The outfit you wear into the ring walk itself, the demeanor when you're being introduced, all of that creates a character. A diamond has many facets, and there's a lot of facets that take place from the time you leave that locker room until the time you get in the ring, do the fight, and then the final bell rings, and then you have your post-fight interviews. All of that is part of performing. So I emphasize that with every fighter, and over the years, the ones I work most closely with on the big pay-per-view shows, we talked about every one of those aspects for every fight and said, think about it. What are you going to do? How are you going to do it? I loved working with promoters and fighters who had creative intuition and gave me some creative license to have some fun. The first one I worked with like that was George Foreman, 1991, when we did Holyfield Foreman. You remember George Foreman? He was the angry guy with the German Shepherd in his first chapter of his boxing career. Well, by the time he came back and fought Evander Holyfield on pay-per-view, George was America's sweetheart. George was 40 years old. At the time, that was considered very old for a fighter. And George said, I'm going to fight for all the senior citizens. He had a pile of cheeseburgers brought in on a giant tray for every fight that we did, every press conference. It began with cheeseburgers coming in. George put a smile on the face of the media, of the fans. He took pictures with every senior citizen he saw. When we shot the commercial, Evander stood up in one corner and George sat down in a rocking chair. in the other corner of the ring for the commercial. And he rocked back and forth and he said, oh, wait till you see this old dog's going to teach that young kid some tricks. And that was George's thing. And that's one of the reasons we did almost 1.4 million buys. George captured the hearts of America. And he taught us early on that in the pay-per-view business, it was a lot more than just what happened in the ring. Right after that, we did many fights with Oscar De La Hoya. Oh, Oscar De La Hoya knew performing. Oscar De La Hoya loved interacting with fans. Every time we did a press conference, Oscar would spend 2 hours after every press conference going from one fan to another, signing, taking pictures, letting them shake his hand, letting them touch him. Oscar knew that if there were 10,000 fans at a press conference, it would turn into 1 million fans by the time they all went home and started talking about what they saw and the guy that they met. And he was a genius at that, and it accelerated his growth tremendously. Floyd Mayweather. Oh my God. Floyd came in just in time for the internet and the boom in African-American media. So Floyd said, I know who I am. I know what I'm about. Floyd sharpened his knives a little bit. Floyd put on an edge, and Floyd developed, you know, the money team, the best ever. Floyd did all that because he was shrewd, and he said, I'm going to have a brand. And Floyd ran around the country with a little bit of attitude, and he played with other fighters. We were on a tour once. He stole Oscar De La Hoya's equipment, his gloves. Oscar couldn't train. He stole Oscar's dinner when we were on the road, so Oscar couldn't eat. And Floyd said, I'm a bad man. Wait till you see what I do. Funny, Floyd's character outside the ring actually exceeded his character inside the ring. But by the time he got into the ring, he was such a Darth Vader that the fans couldn't see. All Floyd had to do was smile and poke a little, and the fans in their own minds created the bad man in the ring that was larger than life. But that really all came from Floyd outside the ring. He was a genius that way. Manny Pacquiao, he said, I'm going to be the great statesman. I'm going to run for Congress in my country, and I'm going to be the great statesman that everyone in the world loves because I'm here for everybody. Manny mastered that. Every fighter had their angle that made them. Bernard Hopkins, you want to talk about a character. Bernard knew how to be bad. And Bernard knew that the story of his days in jail and then coming out of jail and turning himself into the great citizen that he proclaimed he was. All of falling in love with and fighting for his mother all those years, his mother Shirley, who passed away prematurely. Bernard wrapped his arms around that. He was a genius at promoting a fight. He once faked leaving the fight premises and going home, and everybody thought he left because he was negotiating for what he wanted. And everybody wrote about that aura of Bernard Hopkins. And Bernard could be a tough guy, but Bernard was shrewder than he was tough. And he was a hell of a tough guy. I never met a fighter as shrewd as Bernard. Everybody had their angle. And you want to talk about the ultimate entertainer, the ultimate man who understood his brand and how to play it? He wasn't a fighter. He was a promoter named Don King. You think Don's hair in the morning woke up looking like that? I saw Don's hair down in the morning. I saw him call for Isidore for the comb and fluff it up. I saw Don put on those tuxedos. How about that cigar? He never once smoked a cigar in his life, but the brand was that he always had a stogie in his mouth ready to go. That laugh, Don King, he personified and mastered that laugh. The jewelry, all of the jewels he would wear. Before Floyd Mayweather wore jewels, believe me, Don King wore them. And you know where Don King learned a lot of his thing? He told me all the time. Don was a student of Muhammad Ali. Muhammad was brash. Muhammad talked like nobody. Don learned a lot of his talking points from watching Muhammad Ali. Never said that. He called it his own. But Don was a brilliant, brilliant showman and made a brand and made everything bigger that Don touched. So I had the privilege of watching some of the greatest in history do their thing. And when they did it well, there was nothing like it in the world.
Mark, when there was Canelo against Jacobs and they start pushing, and I interview Bernard Hopkins right after the weigh-in. Mm-hmm. I asked him, what do you do when you're face off in a weigh-in? Mm-hmm. And you know personally Hopkins, and he's a great guy. He's always smiling. I have a picture with him kissing me in the cheek. And he'll look at me like in a face-off. I was scared.
Yeah.
He knows how to do that. I mean, he changed from the very nice guy to that.
Yeah. Yes.
And I remember that I read in a book, Ken Norton's book, what you were saying. Ali was in a hospital right after the fight in Japan. You remember that he has a lot of bruises in the legs. And Ken Norton went to visit him. And he got into a room. Ali received him and said, how you doing? Let's walk. And they were walking in the aisle. And at some point, Ken Norton says, he started shouting at me like a crazy man. I'm gonna kill you, you big whatever. I didn't understand until I saw that all the media was 20 feet away. And they came running.
Oh, yeah.
And I knew that Muhammad Ali was the master on that.
Yes.
He knew the press was there.
Yeah.
He knew that if he shout, they will come and they will see Ken Norton and Muhammad Ali together.
Oh, yeah. You know, Bernard, remember Bernard had a great fight with 𝗥𝗢𝗨𝗡𝗗.
Mm-hmm.
Bernard wanted that fight badly. And Joe wouldn't bite. Joe wanted no part of Bernard. And I was with Bernard one day, and we walked into a media room, and 𝗢𝗢𝗡𝗗 was there. And Bernard said, watch me. In 15 minutes, we're going to have a fight. I said, what are you going to do? He said, stay away. You don't want to be anywhere near this, but watch me. And Bernard went in there, and he used his greatest ploy of racist remarks and accusations. Joe 𝗢𝗢𝗡𝗗 and his father were crazy beyond themselves. And basically, at that moment, 𝗢𝗢𝗡𝗗 accepted the invitation to fight Bernard. Bernard took Joe out of his game. Joe forgot where he was. He just couldn't wait to get at Bernard Hopkins. Unfortunately, had to wait to get into a ring. Right. Bernard made sure they didn't fight until they were getting paid to do so. That's one thing about Bernard. He didn't throw a punch unless he's getting paid. But that's how Bernard King made that fight. And he was very astute that way. I saw so many fights get made under circumstances like that. I mean, Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. Do you know how brilliant Floyd was to get that fight done when he sensed it was close, but he knew that the promoters were in the way, that Arum and Heyman and others weren't talking to each other and weren't going to get it done. And Floyd said, we got to get this fight done. And what do you think Floyd did? Floyd went to a basketball game. He knew Manny Pacquiao was going to be at that game. And the second he saw him, Floyd went right over to him, engaged him, took him up to his private room, put a show on for the media, put his arm around Manny, and started talking Manny's language. That made the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight, because that's how smart Floyd was, and he took it into his own hands. Certain fighters had, and Floyd became a great promoter because of those same skills. I've seen so many fighters over the years. There were others that would use intimidating type tactics to change the fight before it even got into the ring. There were many that were great at that. Antonio Tarver used to love to try those tactics.
Sorry to interrupt, Mark, but I just want to explain this picture.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
This is the private airport for Mayweather's Pacquiao fight. It was full of private jets.
Yes. Oh, yeah, I remember that. Everything was private jets. There were more people in that stadium because of private jets than there were because of public transportation or any other way. Yeah. Yeah, but there were so many great fighters over the years that did that. Riddick Bowe, when he was heavyweight champion, was a great entertainer. Riddick could do imitations better than most fighters. He used to imitate Muhammad Ali. He'd imitate the other fighter. You know, it's funny. Evander Holyfield had a great character that fans identified with. Lennox Lewis was a gallant warrior and a great fighter. But when it came to promotion, they were the B-sides of most of the promotions because their personalities were being pricked and pushed by the other fighters. I remember when Lennox fought Hasim Rahman, right? The first fight was South Africa, and Rahman knocked Lennox out. And Lennox came back, and Rahman knew that he was going to make Lennox so mad that he was going to get the mental edge for the fight. That was his goal anyway. And we went to ESPN, the Kids Zone in Los Angeles, in Anaheim, at Disney World. And I remember sitting down and the publicist saying, make sure the ESPN interviewer sits between Lennox and Hasim. I said, oh, no, they get along well. They don't need to do that. And Kelly Swanson said, no, make sure they're sitting in between them. I, of course, let the two of them sit next to each other. Well, it didn't take but 30 seconds for 𝗧𝗢𝗪 to challenge Lennox Lewis's manhood. For Lennox Lewis to turn to 𝗧𝗢𝗪 and basically say, why don't you ask your sister about my manhood? And the next thing you know, 13 feet and 580 pounds of heavyweight fighters were rolling around the floor in front of 300 kids wearing Mickey Mouse ears at the ESPN zone in Anaheim. And that changed the promotion, and that made that fight. So many stories with so many astute fighters. 𝗧𝗢𝗪 did what he wanted to do, get under Lennox's skin. What he didn't realize was he lit Lennox on fire that way, and Lennox went in the ring and said, I'm going to show you who the champion is and who the great fighter is. And Lennox did it in the rematch. But fighters who understand that they're performers are the ones that can take it to another level in pay-per-view and get the fans to watch them and get the fans to pay for them. But you have to be very astute and very diligent about it. And you have to make yourself available. It's a lot of work. I mean, Sean could tell you that. Some of these big fights, man, you can't wait to go to sleep. People are pricking you and pushing you so much to be involved. Right, Sean?
Oh, Sean, who's there?
Hello.
Who's
My baby
who's
boy.
that little entertainer?
Say hi.
Hey.
Hey, how are you?
He's
How old
going
are
to
you?
be an entertainer for sure. He's a monster.
How old are you?
How old are you?
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah, no, you know, Mark, I was going to ask you a question. I think that from where I'm sitting, I turned pro in 2008, and all the way up until this point, I can tell you in my experience, no one's ever come up to me and said, you should do this, you should do that, you should try this, you should try that. I think this will work for your promotion. I think that will work for your promotion. And I think that when it comes to promoting fights, when it comes to being an entertainer in the boxing ring, I think that's a lost art of boxing. Would you agree with that?
It is. I learned it from the masters. And listen, why did we do 24/7 at HBO? Because we knew that you had to connect the athletes and the fans. Mm-hmm. My wife, if I say to her, let's watch boxing, she says, what are you, crazy? I show her one episode of 24/7. She has to see the fight. She has to see the conclusion. Now, connections when you do 24/7, you're exposing facets of the diamond. It's another form of performing and entertaining. You know, it's in the ring, it's out of the ring. When you do media interviews, when you do your press conferences, your face-offs, all of that is about performing and entertaining. And you know what, Sean, if people didn't talk to you about that, then they underserved you, frankly, because those are the things that take people from being, you know, in effect, the B side of a promotion to gaining the leverage to be on top of a promotion, because the fans love it and they demand to see you. And, you know, a lot of promoters don't like it when the fans demand to see their fighters, because it takes some control out of their hands. And a lot of times that has to do with what a promoter does or doesn't do with you, because they're a little worried about, hey, this guy's got a little bit too much talent. If like in the form of Sean Porter, maybe if he starts showing himself a little too much, I'm going to lose some control. That can happen too. But for fighters, it's the only way to go. And everybody plays it a different way. Not everybody can imitate. Not everybody's a jokester. Not everybody's a gangster. But you find ways to entertain and connect, and for people to say, I love this guy. Yeah. Andre Ward had his own way. You know, he was son of God. He was straight. People loved his integrity. They loved his character. They fell in love with it. And it took him to another level. Later in his career, unfortunately, it was too late. But people learned to appreciate that about him.
Mark,
let's
include Benny, because he, besides everything he's doing, is a close friend of one of what I say is one of the best entertainers today, especially in the heavyweight division, Tyson Fury. Benny, tell us a little bit about how Tyson is when it gets to a personal level, and what happens if he switches on his in-ring personality.
First of all, I would like to bring another side up, which is what I also try to teach my fighters, especially the young guys, because what I see happening now many times is they put the whole entertainment factor on priority, and they totally forget about it's all about, and all the fighters that we spoke about now. First and foremost, it's all about the performance, the skills, developing into a world-class fighter. And I would say the second step then, or maybe in between, maybe that's even more the job of a good promoter or a good manager to find the right image and so on. But a lot of guys, they worry about what they are wearing. They worry about their Instagram followers. They're worrying about what car they drive, how good they are looking, if they went to the barbershop before the fight, and all kinds of stuff. And many forget what's most important. And I would even say, even if you're not the biggest entertainer, if you perform over and over again and on the highest level, you will definitely make it as a boxer, as an entertainer. You will earn your money and you will achieve a lot. And then, I mean, the big names like, and I would say it all started with 𝗥𝗢𝗨𝗡𝗗. I would say he is the first one ever who made it, maybe not even only as a boxer, but also as a sport athlete in general, who made it into a superstar. And he had all that stuff around, but also him, it was all about the performance in the ring, even in probably tougher times than today. And after him, I would say, was Sugar Ray Robinson, who came and took something from 𝗥𝗢𝗨𝗡𝗗. And then Muhammad Ali came, and I think he took something as well from Sugar Ray Robinson. And then Sugar Ray Leonard came, and he took something from Muhammad Ali. And then the great 90 area came with Mike Tyson or Prince Nassim or then Floyd Mayweather. And now, maybe now it's Tyson Fury. And Tyson definitely will agree with me that first and foremost, it's all about the skills in the ring. You need to be better than all the other guys. You need to perform in the ring. And the next step is then to sit down and take a couple of minutes or have a team who's working on it for a couple of hours. How can you put more to it? Like, what is the entrance about? What is your image? And Tyson is really who he is. That's another part of it. I can see a lot of fighters. They are not entertainers, but they want to be entertainers. So they are watching and trying and wasting a lot of time there. And most great guys, all of them that we were talking about, they are all natural entertainers as well. And so is Tyson. It's not really that he slips into a totally different role. He has this part of his personality is like that. So he loves to sing in private. He loves to sing in the ring then. He loves to wear fancy stuff in private. He loves to wear fancy stuff in the public. So just wanted to bring that up as well, because maybe some young fighters are watching, and well, it's very important, like how is the whole business factor and entertaining and your image and all that. But if you won't make it in the ring, like with the skills, you can entertain how much as you want. Nobody cares about you at the end.
Yeah, no, you're 100% correct. Entertainment takes stars and makes them superstars. Yeah. It takes superstars and makes them megastars. What I used to do at the head of HBO pay-per-view, I was going to be involved with the biggest, best fights in the world. What I needed to do was also identify those athletes that could be entertainers to take us to another level, because I wanted to use big pay-per-view fights to reach beyond core boxing fans and expand the audience. To do that, you needed the guys with the personalities. It takes a scientific approach. It takes someone sitting down, analyzing, understanding the person, the athlete they're working with, and crafting a brand around the strengths of those athletes, because you can't make somebody what they're not. But everybody has aspects to them and to their character that, as long as they're willing to put in some work, you can take them to another level. They have to be willing. And if they're willing, you can find those aspects to craft that brand that will help them become much more successful at what they do. You just have to have the right talent around you, you know, in terms of, you know, like I was an astute marketer, and I paid a lot of attention to it. I listened, watched, and learned from the best. I grew up with the best promoters. I worked with many superstar fighters. I remember everything I saw in every promoter and fighter, and I logged it away and I used it. I mean, we used to name the fights to, you know, as entertainment to get people involved. You know, that was part of what got people interested in a fight as well. It's all about creating a brand, an image, a commercial interaction. With social media, you got to create interaction. You could put a fighter on social media, and if they're not effective communicators, you can ruin them by exposing them. True. Not every fighter deserves to be exposed. Some fighters deserve to just be in the ring, kick somebody's ass, look good, and build that aura. And that's the way it was early on with Mike Tyson. You didn't need anything with Mike. All you needed was Mike doing what he did and capture that footage and put it out. And that was Mike's entertainer and performer side. People just said, oh my God, look at this kid. You know, but he was blessed. But Sean, I know what you have in you as a person, in addition to being an athlete. There's no doubt you have it within you to turn people on and take them up a level. The right people around you just have to say, let's do it and want it.
And what I was just about to say, I think, you know, important part of athletics in general is brand. And I think that that's something that isn't really spoken about in the boxing community to the fighters. The fighters, I think most time the promoter and maybe even managers are waiting to see if their fighter is that fighter that they signed. And they're waiting for that fighter to get to that certain level. But along the way, they have not done anything to brand that fighter. They have not taught that fighter anything to brand themselves. And then here we are on the world championship level. And now we're talking about, oh yeah, let me come up with a logo. Oh yeah, let me brand myself now. Well, it's not too late, but you haven't really showed anything. So people, the only thing they know is what happens when you get in the ring, you know? So for me, I think a great part of what I'm doing now is, on top of social media, is the job that I have with Fox. I think Fox has given me another platform to show people that, you know, there's more that come in the package of Shawn Porter than just being a fighter that fights with his heart and and has a gas nozzle that will never get on empty, and you know, and has more to offer the fight game than just, you know, just that of being a fighter. So you know, I think it's a work in progress. The other thing I want to say too is I think that boxing right now is in that phase where it's kind of everything's about money, everything's about who looks the best, and no one really understands, in order to get to that money, in order to look your best, you have to have that brand, you know. So I think right now boxing is going through a transition in a phase where it's coming back to the branding that those guys like Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, Sugar Ray Robinson, you know, even Bernard Hopkins and all of those guys used to have back in the day.
Well, Sean, you have a tremendous opportunity at Fox. It's potentially a game changer for you for the rest of your career in life.
Yeah, I agree.
So you were right to be serious about it and to think about it. And you have to find some people around you there in that environment and demand that they talk to you about it, or find people who you like in that space and talk to them about what do they do and how do they do it. Because you as a fighter can make a connection with fans that will have them just fall in love with you. It's a unique position for a fighter who takes that, you know, Paulie Malignaggi's done a great job of that, you know, at Showtime. Fans identify with him as a fighter's broadcaster. Broadcaster.
That's the other brand. I mean, we have this, what would happen with Muhammad Ali with social media? I want to show a video that I got from, let's see it. It's Shawn Porter.
I've only just heard that the WBC would like Showtime Shawn Porter to fight another title eliminator. And they want me to fight none other than a cherry picker himself, Danny Garcia. What I say to you, Danny Garcia, let's get it on. Ooh, yeah.
For some reason, that reminds me of The Undertaker.
No. That was the Macho Man.
The Macho Man.
The Macho Man. You're talking to the last wrestling commissioner in the state of Michigan. That was the Macho Man.
So let me.
That was a good job.
So there's a story behind that, if I can, and I'll tell it very quickly. Again, with social media now, you put one thing out and everyone sees it. So I go to the gym one day. My dad says, Danny Garcia did a video saying he would fight you. You need to do a video saying that you want to fight him, and you know, answer his video. And we were at the gym. As soon as I get to the gym, my dad's, you know, telling me this. I said, okay. We finish our workout. He says, hey, are you going to do that video right now? I says, no, I think I'll wait till I get home. He says, you need to do that video right now. You need to get that on social media right now. I said, Dad, I just finished training. I'm going to do it when I get home. And what he didn't realize at that point in time, when he told me to do a video saying that I wanted to fight Danny Garcia as well, I thought to myself, that's boring. People see Q&A all the time from fighters. I don't want to do a video just saying I'll fight Danny Garcia. That just sounds boring. So on my drive home, I was thinking of something that I could do. And then out of nowhere, Macho Man Randy Savage came into my mind. And I'm not even a big wrestling fan or anything, but he came into my mind and I could not let it go. My drive home is about 15 to 20 minutes. I get home and my dad had another fighter with me. He says, hey man, you got to do that video or your dad's going to be mad. I said, no, we're going to do it right now, but I got an idea. I went up, I grabbed that leather coat, the glasses, the cowboy hat, all that kind of stuff, just stuff that I had around my house, you know, that I used at different points. And I said, hold the camera up. I did that video in one take. And then when I said, oh yeah, he stopped and then he lost it. He said, I can't believe you just did that. I was trying my best not to shake and not to laugh. That was amazing. He said, where'd you get that from? And I told him exactly what I told you guys. I said, my dad wants me to do a video, but that just sounds boring. So I wanted to do something fun. I said, let's put that up now, you know, and we put it up and it went viral. Actually, LL Cool J liked it, but it's things like that that get people's attention. Things like, you know, just the norm. Then you got to get out of your norm in order for people to really take notice of you and what you have. And I think back then that video was like 2017 or 2018. That was the point where I realized that I'm more than just a fighter. I'm an entertainer and I have to take advantage of every opportunity that I have.
Okay.
I'm gonna follow Sean's example, and I just want to continue this way, if you don't mind.
Very good. Let me bring in one more aspect. Now, we look at a big boxing event, big boxing fight. Of course, all the spotlight is on the fighters. And then there's the third man in the ring who's in the middle of the spotlight but doesn't get the attention. Frank, tell me, do you envy fighters?
No, not at all. And I have to tell you, I want to comment on this, on the entertainment aspect of that. You know, as an administrator and also as an official, we have a different perspective as far as the entertainment aspect goes. And I think some referees get caught up. They want to be part of that entertainment. And they need to be identified and possibly removed because it's very bad for the sport. We are not part of the entertainment and we never should be. Because once we cross that line, we can enter into a zone where we can influence how the fight can go, either through what we do or what we don't do. And that's the last thing that we as boxing officials or administrators want to be a part of. What we have to do is we have to be able to confine, let the boxers know what their confinement, what their parameters are inside that ring as how far their entertainment can go. And one of the things that I do when I go into the dressing room, I make a point to the boxers, you're not going to disrespect your opponent. You know, he worked as hard as you did to get to where he is to get here tonight. And I will not tolerate you disrespecting him. And I'll go into the other camp and I will say that the same thing to that boxer, to the other boxer. You're there, he's there. This is your livelihood. This is what puts food on your table. Don't respect it. This, you know, this is your show. I'll give you all the stage. I don't want to be part of the stage. But if you get out of line, then it's my job to come in, and that's when I'll come in. And I think that's the role that as referees that we need to do.
Great, thank you. Now, one question that I'll have to all of you, because we're in this strange situation that we're in right now. We talk about boxing as entertainment. Of course, the audience is a big part of that. Now we are at a point where people are discussing doing fights without the live audience. Benny, let me ask you first. What do you think about it? Is that a possibility for boxing? Is the audience just such a vital part of boxing that it can't be done, or can it be done? What do you think?
I think boxing is probably better off than football and soccer and all these other sports, because the main focus is in the ring, and the lights are on the ring, even if an audience is there. But of course, something is missing. You can now, the German Football League has started as the first league in the whole world to come back after Corona. And you can really see the difference, because it seems like a friendly game or training game or something. There's no atmosphere, no anything like that. And I think it's, especially in England, you will see a big difference, whether fans are singing all night long, and also in America or in other countries. But I think at the end, boxing is a TV product, and everyone should try the best to push that product and make it interesting, even without a live audience. And the fighters need to earn their money, and we should focus on delivering a great TV product as long as Corona goes on.
Sean, let me ask you as a fighter. I mean, obviously you're sparring in a gym without big audiences, so you're used to being in a situation where you don't have the big live audience. But still, if you think about having a big fight, a world championship fight, without people watching in the venue, how does that feel for you, or how do you think about it?
I'm gonna miss it, man. That honestly is one of my favorite parts of the night, is being able to, first off, come out in front of the crowd, hear them screaming and yelling and go Porter. And I'm weird. So I even like the people who are saying, you know, cussing me out, telling me that I'm going to lose. I just love hearing that sounds. I love it. And it really does. It gets me amped up. It gives me the energy that I need. And for a lot of fighters, that helps us along the way. You know, definitely hearing those encouraging words or those encouraging yells after you do something good, it kind of pushes you along. But I have made the call and voiced that I want to get back in the ring, with the understanding that there's not going to be anyone there. My first thing was, just as you said, I spar with almost no one there in the first place. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, we'll just kind of treat it like a sparring session, obviously with more intensity and things of that nature. But if you have the mindset that you're still getting paid, you're still doing what you love to do, you just won't be doing it in front of anyone, I think that there's a lot more that we can find an understanding to and accept, opposed to just saying, hey, you know, my last fight was in front of 8,000 people. If there ain't 800 people there, I ain't doing it, you know? So I think that right now fighters have to make an adjustment, with the understanding that there's not going to be that noise. There's not going to be that crowd. There's not going to be those loved ones in the stands, but you're still going to be able to do your job. You're still going to be able to be an entertainer. And at the end of the day, you're still going to be able to get paid and do what you love to do, get paid doing what you love to do. So I'm for it. Not crazy about it, because again, I love it, but I am for it.
Mark, from a TV perspective, or Mark and Victor from a TV perspective, I mean, big venues, 20,000 people cheering, that's a big part of the whole thing, of the whole story. So what do you think? How can fights look if there's no live audience?
So a number of things have to take place, and you have to take into account your different audiences that you're taking care of that night. From a fighter's perspective, you know, you want the fighters to come in and have emotions high, feel that there's a lot on the line, and not mistake the absence of fans for the intensity of the performance that's necessary to get the win. Mm-hmm. There are ways to do that. I think the use of music during walkouts is very, very important. I think even music that plays when you enter and you're in the ring is important. You shouldn't hear quiet standing in that ring. For some fighters, they may want to put their headsets on and put on their best, most powerful walkout music from something they wish they did or did do previously, and use it to get themselves from the locker to the ring. Put yourself in that mental frame of mind, like it is happening and it is lifting you when you're ready. And then the only issue becomes, okay, now once the fight starts, again, I think you got to begin a round with music. I think you got to end a round with music. I'm not averse. I don't want cheering tracks playing during rounds, but I think that there's some appropriate music background, like a rhythm or a drum beat or a constant noise, something that just says we're filling this dimension with some noise, but it's not crowds cheering. I think it will all add. I think during the post-fight interviews, There has to be music playing. You can't just have a guy talking to you in the ring and expect you to give a post-fight interview with nothing going on and no sound around you. I think during the telecast, viewers need more points of interaction. I would have people in the corner every round talking during the round and between rounds, talking to the fight corner. So the viewer at home can say, wait, there's a lot going on. That corner is important. What do I hear? What do they think? Are they up? Are they down? I would encourage even getting a hold of judges' scorecards and letting the corners know what the scores look like and have them react to, whoa, so what's going on? Where are we? We up, we down? What do we got to do? Make that strategy conversation during the fight more important than just, oh, kick his ass, oh, work harder. The truth is, you're down 3 points. You know what you got to do here. You know, you got to get back. We're only in the 4th round. Or we're in the 11th round and you're down 3 points. You know what you got to do. You got to knock them out. I think these things will add dynamics for the fighters and for the fans, the viewers, that will make it a more rewarding experience, primarily geared toward viewers, because we got to give the viewers something. If we lose the viewers, we're not going to have anything left. Because remember, the TV revenue dwarfs the gate revenue in this sport. So we got to keep the TV viewers happy so that when the fans come back, we're going to get the TV license fees where they need to be to get the fighters paid the way they want to be. We can't have that spiral go down during this time period while we're waiting. It's going to take some creativity and some focus. I've spent a lot of time thinking about it because I know what it takes to deliver.
Frank,
I would say it's not that strange to the fighters. I mean, we're talking about main events, and of course, there's full of crowd. But if you're talking about fights, there's something different. If you're gonna have a fight at the Madison, it's usually getting full. The arena is getting full in the first fights. But if you're in Las Vegas, it's almost only the main and the co-main event. But usually you have, when you arrive early to the arena, you have the 4-rounders and the 6-rounders in the beginning fighting without crowd because the people arrive late. So to be honest, as a commentator, you can appreciate the fight even better because you can hear the punches, you can hear the blows, you can hear when someone is excited. So we had that experience already in the first fights. It's different, of course. It is really different. It's going to be strange for a TV fan, of course. I'm not sure about how good or bad is for a fighter, but I think all the fighters experience that in the first fight.
Frank, what would you say, not only from a referee's, but also from a judge's perspective? May it help that there's no audience? I mean, it takes something out of the occasion.
Well, I have to tell you that I have a very unique perspective in this, in that back in the 80s, there was some things going on the other part of the world where people were being suppressed and not being able to do things. And I was part of a small program at one time where we were bringing fighters in that were not going to have the opportunity to box in their own country for political reasons. And we did a closed circuit TV showing of their fights, no audience, no nothing. It was just the cameramen, the officials, and the commission. And we did those fights. As a judge during those, I had no problem doing those fights with no audience. And then we had a promoter here in town that received a deal with one of the major networks at that time that was doing a weekly boxing program where they needed venues. They were providing the revenue, all the money for the fight. There was no need to sell the tickets. So we were doing the shows under like a studio show. We had a venue. We would set up the ring and do the shows, tape it, no audience whatsoever. And again, as a referee, no problem. I think as a spectator or the audience, we need to have good commentators that just, can carry a conversation without boring the audience and give pertinent information to the audience, both what's going on and maybe some post history. In between rounds, like Mark was saying with the music and all that, that's a good time to show the replays of what had happened in the previous round or anything like that, just to keep the whole program moving. I think production-wise, yeah, it can happen. But the circumstances that I was involved in before are totally different from the circumstances that we're having now, where we have this virus. So it isn't a political thing, it's a health issue. So we have to take into consideration how do we protect the boxers? How do we protect the officials? How do we protect everybody that's involved with the event? And I think that's very important. I think to bring it back, that's maybe what we're going to have to do to bring it back. But in the long run, no, we're going to have a live audience.
Very true. So now I think this is the part of the show where we start singing, right, Victor?
Yeah. But I think we touched a lot of topics that are really interesting. I really enjoy it, hearing everyone's opinion. I think it's different opinion. Do you have your guitar, Frank? So Malte and Sean can start singing. Mark and Manny, do you sing?
I see the guitar back there. I see the guitar.
Yeah, see, I'm never without that. I'm never without that.
I heard Mark's a good dancer, though.
No, let me tell you this story real quick, because we're talking about entertainment, okay? Yeah. And I was playing in a band, and we had played the song by Bob Seger and the Sound System called "Ramblin' Gamblin' Man." And long and behold, this song comes out on the radio by Bachman Turner Overdrive called "Taking Care of Business." And it's exactly the same way that we have been playing "Ramblin' Gamblin' Man." So anyway, we start playing it. And that night, everybody starts asking for requests. They want this song, they want this song, they want this song. It became very aggravating. And I got up to the microphone and I says, okay, everybody, no more requests, but here's what we're going to do. Next week, when we come back for next week's show, anybody that can stump the band, anybody that can request a song and we can't play it, we give you $25. And this was like 1972, something like that. So it's $25 was a lot of money. So everybody in the band says, are you crazy? Are you nuts? And I said, no, I got this idea. I got this idea. So here's what we did. There's my singer. So here's what we did. We took, we bought these little pads of papers and got these pencils from the golf course, and we put them on everybody's table. And when we came to the show, said, everybody write down your request. And I had gotten this box and I decorated it in Christmas paper. And we went around, we had one of the girls go around and collect all the songs and put them in there. And they handed me the box. And I took the box and I put it behind my amplifier. And then behind my amplifier was the same exact box with all the songs that we knew how to play. And we had learned like 15 to 20 new songs that we put in there. And I picked it up and I put it on my amplifier. And then I reached in there and I says, okay, we got a request by, say, from Sean Porter, how to play Bad Moon Rising. So we played Bad Moon. You didn't stump the band. Got another request from Victor Silva, how to play Folsom Prison Blues. You didn't stump the band. And nobody ever caught on. And it was one of the best nights that we ever played.
That's okay, so next time we're going to discuss boxing and cheating.
Next talent show for the WBC convention, I'm going to keep my eye on the boxes behind you.
But Sean, I got to tell you, brother, good seeing a fellow Ohioan, a fellow Buckeye.
Thank you.
And number 21, Barry Sanders, you touched my heart.
Yeah, number 20.
Or 20, I'm sorry. You're right.
Yeah. Benny, can you sing?
Nah, not really. Not really.
You sure?
Benny's a good dancer.
I sing one with you for sure. My Way, Frank Sinatra, Sean Porter, and Benny Blanco, no problem.
There'll be no more Johnny Be Good. This is the new one.
There you go.
We're going to be doing Roll Over Beethoven. No more Johnny Be Good.
Well, I think it's time to wrap it up.
I have a last question to everyone.
Sure.
Benny, go ahead.
Who is the most entertainment fighter in boxing history?
Oh, wow, that's a good one.
let's say everyone can pick one name, 2, 3. Malte, you're the boss. You decide.
Well, let's go for one name, for the one name. I mean, Sean dropped all of them earlier, but the number one most entertaining fighter. Frank, you go first. Come on.
Well, I got a long list of guys that I like to see, guys that are from Detroit that were, that I found very entertaining. The ones that were both that I was in the ring with, and I'm just going to name one, and that's one guy that I was in the ring with that was very entertaining. His name was, his name is Emmanuel Augustus. What did they call him? The drunken boxer or something like that.
Drunken master.
Yeah, that's it. The drunken master. And when I went in there, I told a friend of mine, if he starts acting up like he does, I'm going to do the moonwalk. In between the boxers, I'm going to do the moonwalk. But when the opportunity came, I didn't do the moonwalk. I did the robot. Oh. So there's a clip somewhere of me and Emmanuel doing the moonwalk in the ring.
Wow.
Go ahead. Who's next?
So Sean, name one. Yourself.
You know what? No, I'm not gonna. I would never name myself anyway. But my two, I would say I'm gonna go with two. All time would be Muhammad Ali, and it's going for everything he did in the ring and out of the ring. Just amazing and in every facet of the word. And then my great right now is Tyson Fury. And Benny, I'm not just saying that because you're on the line, but I've known Tyson for a long time from a distance, obviously, me being American, he England. The first time I met Tyson Fury, I think we were 16 years old. And now we're both about 32, 33. And he's the exact same that he was when he was 16. I mean, just the absolute character, absolute fantastic guy, loves to have fun and loves to make light of any situation. And I think right now in the sport of boxing, I think guys, we should take it serious, but I think he's found a way to make light of that situation, which I think is why he's been so successful in terms of branding himself and being more entertaining than any fighter that I've seen in years and years.
Okay, Mark, if you would have to name one, who would it be?
Muhammad. I think Muhammad Ali revolutionized the game through his entertainment and his personality and his persona. And I think it led the way for fans to view fighters differently. And it helped make him the biggest star and the most recognizable athlete in the world, period.
Hard to argue with that. I mean, I grew up watching Prince Naseem. And I mean, just the ring walks of Prince Naseem, like taking 10 minutes just to get into the ring and dancing behind the shadow wall. I mean, that was crazy. It was something completely different, which I hadn't seen before. Victor, who do you pick?
I like Sean Porter. Of course.
Good choice.
I have to say that I experienced really close Jorge Travieso Arce, Mexican fighter. And he always did the same thing with motorcycles and horses. And some of my productions, I was the producer, and I remember one that I did, and I went with him and told him, you have to walk this way is not going to be stairs. Be careful, there's going to be fireworks. And he was like, at the moment he was doing his shadow boxing and he didn't know where to go. He forgot the stairs were this way. He almost felt this. It was an experience, I would say. Mexican, Jorge Travieso Arce. Of course, Muhammad Ali revolutionized everything. And Naseem Hamed.
And Benny, you asked the question. Now give us a name.
All time, Muhammad Ali, definitely. And I go with Sean Showtime Porter. You pick Tyson, so I'm gonna pick you. You my main man.
Oh.
Well, I think we have to go.
Oh, thank you all for being here. It was a great round, great panel. I was expecting a lot from you guys, but you exceeded all expectations. You're so good. So thank you very much. You're very entertaining.
Hey, everyone, stay healthy. Yeah.
See you guys.
Yeah. Take care, Sean.
Happy trail, Sean.
Look forward to seeing you back in the ring soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
This
You
was
should never
round
think of
49.
that.
Malte, thank you very much. It was a great battle. This was round number 39 of the WBC Talks. Thanks for being with us. Stay home.
Thank you.